Well, let's look at someone who did decide to take his skill set elsewhere, and good on him too. And he joins us now on the breakdown is Bryn Hall out of Japan. Konnichiwa, Bryn. Kia ora, good to see you, mate. What do you make of this All Blacks 15, or as JK and Goldie, the All Black development, All Blacks B+? What do you make of
that was
team?
B+. Chelsea said B+.
B+. How do you describe this squad for Island Day and the Barbars, Bryn?
Konnichiwa, guys. Geez, I tell you what, just looking from afar and hearing this debate, it's great to see it from Japan. But I guess for me, you can see the reasoning behind it. It's the All Black 15 to have the brand and be able to have that kind of tag put to that name. Look, it's no different from the Māori All Blacks, from the All Black Sevens. You know, that All Black brand is associated with those teams. But for me, I'd like to see it to go on a route of kind of like the Japanese and even the Australian A that's been playing in Japan. They've been classed as the Australian A, or Goldie, as you've been saying, probably New Zealand C. That's what you're thinking. But yeah, you can understand the reason behind the All Black branding around it, because of obviously it's great for money and to have that brand out there across the world. But for me personally, a New Zealand A or New Zealand B would be a better name for me.
Bryn, you knocked on the door, and I was so happy for you when you finally got the call up. But you knocked on the door for many years. When these teams come out and someone like Stevenson misses out, I mean, what goes through your head and what do you start thinking about?
Yeah, that's a really good question, JK, because I think having this team, it even gives you more of an incentive and understanding where you are and the schemes of things. Sorry, you know, if you don't make the All Blacks, you're probably thinking, you know, am I fourth or fifth in the reckoning? Am I an injury away? And to be honest, you don't really get a lot of communication from coaches or even from other people if you're in the reckoning. But I'll tell you what, you'd know pretty well right now if you're not in that kind of All Black 15 now, if you're not in that team, you kind of get being told that you're sixth or seventh, and you guys have talked around Peter Gus-Sawakula, Sean Stevenson, Karifi, Christie, guys like that. Now, I can understand Tom, he's a little bit younger, but you look at guys like Peter Gus and Sean Stevenson, especially guys that have been applying their trade for a really long time, that can't even get in their All Black 15 now. You know, for me personally, it would give me an incentive to say, you know what, maybe my time is to go because I'm not even ranked in the top 5, top 6 in the position for the All Blacks.
Yeah, Bryn, I see a lot of positives in this All Blacks 15s team being named, particularly, you know, the coaches being able to see a lot more people on the international stage. However, I would like to know what you think of what it will do in terms of a team culture. You've got our super teams, we've got our NPC teams. These guys may be thinking they're not far off an All Blacks or at least an All Blacks 15 selection, and then their mates who may be under them or not quite performing as well as them suddenly get a call up ahead of them. What does it do for our teams' cultures within New Zealand?
I think that's a good question, a really good question. It's difficult because I think, you know, let's be honest, some of these guys that have been selected aren't proven. They're not proven at Super Rugby level, and they're pretty much seen as a developmental player. And look, that's no disrespect to the Crusaders boys that have been selected in that team. And a lot of those guys haven't been proven at Super Rugby level or even at Mitre 10 Cup for long periods of time. But what it does do is it's an All Black brand. It's your All Black team. So, you know, anytime you pull on that jersey and get the opportunity to do that, no doubt, you know, Liam McDonald, Scott Hansen, Peyton McMillan, who's had experience playing in those kind of short windows of bringing a team together, they'll be able to bring an identity of what that team might look like, and saying, you know, this is what we're about for this 2-week competition or 2-week schedule. But then moving forward, hopefully, you know, it's 3 or 4 years where this team gets to be able to build its own identity, but even though it's still under the All Black flag.
Hey, Bryn, I want to ask the question. Do you read anything into the fact that there's a few players who took a little bit of a break, headed towards Japan and took a little bit of sojourn and clearly benefited from that? Do you think the fact that some of these guys who have got vast All Black experience, who could quite easily have slotted back into the main squad, Damon McKenzie, Patrick Tuipulotu, guys who've done that and come back, TJ Perenara, do you think there's in some ways you know what, you just can't quite walk back into the All Blacks anymore? If you want to go overseas and then come back, you've got to do more than prove you're fit and available. You have to perform at the next level. Do you get any sense from that?
Oh, I think it does. And I think what you do is, you know, you have the opportunity to go to Japan, as the example that you use, Goldie, and to be able to, experience something different, but also it helps in your back pocket being able to have those opportunities to play in Japan. But what it does do, it gives other guys opportunities to be able to play in your jersey. Now you look at TJ Perenara, you've got Finlay Christie, who was really good with the Blues and given us opportunities last year in their rugby championship and India tour, was being able to play a really good brand of rugby with where the All Blacks are going. Folau Fakatava, again, he's very young and was given an opportunity as well. You'd have to think Brad Weber, we can't even start about Brad Weber with around how unlucky he's been with his form. But, what it does do, this team does do, gives them opportunity to be able to play at an international level and being able to say, the coaches can see them play at that international level. Now, bar it be, it's going to be against a Barbarians team and against an Ireland A, but, you look at the New Zealand Maldives, a guy like Lomax. Lomax had the opportunity to play against Ireland A, and then now he's a starting prop and had a great rugby championship. So there are positives and negatives, but I think you are right. Sometimes some players take a little bit longer to adjust back into the rugby of being in New Zealand rugby and what that looks like. But then you've had some guys as well. You had Sam Whitelock, you had Bowden Barrett, who came back and probably didn't seem like they missed a step. So there's definitely there's two ways to go through that.
Bryn, it's a wide and varied market now, the rugby market, and opportunities are going to young men and women around Aotearoa, New Zealand at a very young age now to go and play abroad. What sort of message does it send when a guy like Sean Stevenson, who is a great chief, great North Harbour player, great Māori All Black, he can't crack into that next tier when someone's coming through the ranks and they look at that and they go, well, Sean Stevenson can't make an All Blacks 15. What sort of message does that send to that player?
Well, I think it just sends a pretty message that you're not in the reckoning. I think, for a guy like Sean, who's plied his trade for so long and look, came out of the college system very, very early and was given an opportunity at the Chiefs and I think he's grown through his career, and I think probably the last 12 months, barring injury with the Chiefs, he performed very, very well at the Ireland A in those 2 test matches. Played really well at the back end of the Super Rugby, and then had an outstanding campaign for North Harbour. For me personally, like I said, we haven't had the opportunity to have this team where, you might be thinking, well, my 4th or 5th off the rank, just going to be really close. It sends a pretty clear message to me. If you can't make the team and you're in that kind of situation, you might be better off to apply your trade somewhere else, where you could be going to the Dolphins. And we're actually going to have him on our rugby pod, Aotearoa Rugby Pod tomorrow. So make sure you tune in and have a listen to that, because we've got him on the show.
I didn't say a club. I didn't know about that. You're the one that talked about the club.
If you're on board the door, you've got to get all the information out.
Well, mate, I was just,
It's the Dolphins, everybody.
All right, here we go. Bring it on.
Dolphins.
Guys, you can speculate on
Nice plug.
Hey,
nice
Bryn,
plug. That's
good
really
plug,
smart.
There you go. Did you guess it?
I didn't even get a moment to shine.
Yeah, your mum. Chelsea was so desperate to win, she got phoned a friend. She got help, and that's ridiculous.
No, to be fair, I saw a message from my husband and I thought, I better check in case something's up.
Is it serious?
It said Pity gets bumped off, and I was like...
Were you coaching that team?
I don't want to... Yes.
Was that your tackle technique?
Yes. That's why I'm really worried that I couldn't remember that.
I think I might have been there. Sorry about that.
Goldie, it all comes down to this weekend in the NPC. It's back in Christchurch.
Shocker.
Wellington, I tell you that they've wound the clock by having a great season, and they haven't won it since 2000, that great team. Are they a chance, or is the Christchurch factor, how big is it for Canterbury?
All right, I'll make a comparison to when we won the title in 1998 with Otago, when all of a sudden you get on a tier and you get that feeling that you can push on and you can beat anybody, right? Regardless of who you're going to face. I think Wellington are there. The role that they're on, winning the Ranfurly Shield. I think this is 9 in a row, right? And the way that they play, they are dangerous, JK.
Yeah.
Chelsea, they are dangerous. They've got threats right across the park. They've got former All Blacks who know about the big game, who understand what it takes to win a tight match, have been in sublime form. I really like what they've done. Jackson Garden-Bishop been really, really good. So there's Super Rugby players who stood up. I genuinely believe, this kid here, Ruben Love, there's a reason he's in the All Blacks 15 development, 15 All Black C, whatever you want to call it. He's playing great rugby.